I've always just had this entrepreneurial spirit to create things, right? And it's hard to explain, whether it's a manufacturing facility, whether it's a bottling facility, whether it's a beverage brand. I love to create tangible things.
Yeah, it's there's a slight there's that very fine line of crazy and brilliant, right? So you were saying about you're removing the price in the price point when it comes to quality in the energy sector.
Yeah. So literally, when we were sitting down, the exact conversation we had with our mixologist was, we want to create the most premium luxury formula that's ever been done in the energy drink space, and we want everything to be in there to be natural and stuff that you'd want in a drink if you could have it, without expense being part of the equation here. And he said, okay, I can do that. So we did all that, and we finally got the formula that we liked. And I mean, we have 4 flavors, but we probably went through 110, 120 different samples over the course of a year. Because here's the thing, you can spend a lot of time and money, building, beautiful packaging, which we did. And we're the first energy drink to use the Ball Corporation's twist top Alumatech bottles, right? And we spent a lot of time on the aesthetics and the logo and how everything looks. But if it looks good and feels good, but the minute you twist that top and put it to your lips, it doesn't taste good, that just didn't work for us. And so it really had to be perfect from start to finish, right? Because we wanted people to drink it with their eyes, then drink it with their hands, drink it with their nose before the liquid ever hit their lips. Because, we're just inherently, we're creatures that, kind of make up our minds whether we're going to like something, just, kind of based on that look and feel, right? But we wanted that taste to just be different than anything else that's out there. And so we think that we've achieved that. We also did something that's never been done in the industry in energy drinks, and that's, we modeled some of our flavors after ready to drink cocktails. So our Havana Nights tastes just like a mojito. It's got that spearmint, lime, and it's just robust. It's refreshing. Our Acapulco Gold tastes just like a margarita, just tons of citrus and fruits. And, they're not only great on their own, but they're beautiful as mixers, and you're talking to a guy that was a hardcore Red Bull vodka guy, for decades. And, now that I'm a little older, I realize that's probably not real good for you on a consistent basis. And so we wanted to create kind of a more refined experience for people looking to just, get a little bit of energy, in their cocktails in the evening, just to keep them going through the night. And this seemed like just a perfect way to do that. The other thing is we lowered our caffeine content. We're not super astronomically high. In fact, we're, I think, the lowest in the marketplace at 125 milligrams for a 16-ounce bottle. We did that purposely. We see that the market is starting to trend and skew to lower caffeine options, right?
Right.
The Bangs of the world, the Reigns, the C4s, that 300 milligram stuff, it's great for certain things, but as a long-term, way to get your caffeine, it's not the greatest way to do that. And so what we found is by having the lower caffeine content and have the caffeine actually derived from a natural source, our bodies process it just a lot better, a lot differently. And it kind of creates this more sustained energy that you get from it. So it's not this, big jump up high and, big low crash. It just kind of gradually go into it and you gradually come out of it. And, because we only have 125 milligrams, you don't have to feel guilty if you crack open a second bottle later, right? This was built so that you could have one through the day, to kind of help get you, through work, and then take it with you at night to make your favorite cocktail out of it. and allow you that energy that's needed to get through your evening. The nice thing about this, unlike the traditional Red Bull and vodkas, when you want to go to bed and you just stop drinking, like you can actually go to bed.
Yeah.
Those long nights in Vegas and LA where I'm 6, 7 Red Bull and vodkas deep, and it's like, oh crap, I want to go to bed soon. And it's
Yeah.
like that's not happening. Yeah, your heart's palpitating.
Yeah.
And so we've done a lot of field testing with FAMUS, and the beauty part of it is like I can have my last drink and I can head home and go right to bed. It doesn't we haven't noticed any real effect on the ability to go to sleep. Now, obviously, like anything, you can outdrink your coverage and you can consume enough that it's going to keep you up, but each bottle, will make 3 to 4 cocktails out of it, and so you're splitting 125 milligrams up over 3 to 4 drinks. It's about the equivalent of having a soda, at the end of the day. So,
Yeah.
um,
So I have a question for you. So if you can help me with this, I received this recently from FAMUS.
that's
What
right.
is this? What does this represent? I got
So
the hat here.
those are
This
our
hat
specialized Live Famous hats, coupled with
with the
you've got
little note in here,
you got the little node, you got the diamond on the side right here, you got the Live Famous on the back. Yeah.
and it says "Welcome to the famous family." So what did I do?
Yeah, well, if you only knew, right, that I told you needed to read the fine print on what you
Right.
were getting yourself into. But no, I built this company different, than your traditional companies, right? You go to build a brand company. What's the first thing you do? Well, you go and you make all these hires, and you find your CEO and president, and you find a COO and CFO to manage your finances, and you get all your vice presidents in order. We didn't do any of that. I've got just absolutely fantastic partners based up in Louisville, um, a couple of which I've known, for 20 plus years. And they came on, they're like, listen, they're big energy drink guys, right? Just big consumers. And I kind of shared a little bit of the vision as we were trying to kind of figure all this out. And they're like, dude, we're in. We see where you're going with this. We got this. And, collectively, we came up with the name. Collectively, we came up with the concept. Collectively, we came up with the recipes. Um, I had the fortunate ability just to have a tremendous team built around me that are all way smarter than I am, that were able to, kind of put their 2 cents in. And collectively we built this thing, and we think we know, not think, we know that we've done something very special, right? This is a new category in the energy drink space. Doesn't currently exist. We created it. We're the only ones in it. If we do our jobs correctly and build a customer base that also cares about what they put in their bodies and isn't willing to compromise about cutting corners on things that they drink, then FAMUS is the brand for you. And if we do that right, we know there'll be others, right? At some
Right.
point, we'll only be able to say we're the world's first, not the world's only, right? But that, the imitation, in that respect is, flattering, right? Because it shows that,
Yeah.
okay,
Means you're doing something right.
we're going to watch what you're doing, and like, holy crap, people will pay more for better quality stuff. What a concept, right?
Yeah,
And
it's like Starbucks.
what's funny is, as I was doing due diligence into this, you every other beverage category, whether it's juice, kombucha, sodas, wines, beers, spirits, everybody has a premium option or like a top shelf option. I couldn't understand why no one had ever done that in the energy drink space. It's like, do they think that people that consume energy drinks just are like, you know, just the down and dirty, just give it to me as cheap as I can get it type of
Yeah.
people? I'm a Gen Xer, and you know, energy drinks weren't around when I was a real little kid. They didn't come around until a little bit later. But I was never a coffee guy, and so energy drinks were that's how I got my caffeine. That's how I got my fix. And so, and I'm not alone, right? There's what, $58 billion worth of energy drinks sold last year. So obviously I'm not the only one drinking these things, but as I've gotten older into my 40s, and I started to pay a little bit more attention about my health, there just really wasn't a great option for you. Right? I mean, there's some energy drinks that are kind of like dietary supplements, like Fit Aid and Celsius and things like that. And those are great, right? And they serve a purpose and they serve a niche, but at the end of the day, they still have to use artificial and some synthetic ingredients to, create their formulas. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I think for me anyway, unlike, some, beverage companies from the past, I'm not here to bash any one of them, avid user of Red Bull, avid user of Monster myself. But there needed to be something else out there for people that are paying attention to the labels, that are paying attention to the ingredients that they put in their bodies. And so that's kind of, where FAMUS was born out of. And we didn't necessarily, set out to create the cleanest energy drink, the healthiest energy drink. We wanted to create the world's first ultra premium. And I think through default, we kind of got to be the cleanest energy drink. Yeah. That's what happens when you use the best ingredients, and, natural juices, and you start, really paying attention to each of these ingredients that you use to build these formulas. You kind of become the cleanest energy drink on the market almost by default. And that's just kind of where we landed up at.
I love it. Well, listen, I'm excited to be a part of the FAMUS family. Obviously, the way I live my life, the business that I've been building for many, many years, I'm a firm believer in quality. And that's really what it's been in my eyes. And I too I'm not to date myself, but we've grown up in the same world, right? So in my 20s, it was Monster and vodkas and Red Bull vodkas.
Yeah.
I was just in New York City this past weekend. I was at Tao, a restaurant in New York, and I just saw their Red Bull fridge behind the counter, and I just shook my head and just thinking about,
because now you know better, right? Now,
I just started.
Now we got to make sure that we got enough touch points, so no matter where you're at in the U.S., if you need your FAMUS fix, you can get your FAMUS fix.
Yeah, exactly. So tell me about this. So obviously, creating a business that is kind of building its own category. I'm sure there's people out there that are saying you're crazy. Like, what are you thinking?
Well, it starts with my wife, right? I hear that at least once a week from her. I've always just had this entrepreneurial spirit to create things, right? And it's hard to explain, whether it's a manufacturing facility, whether it's a bottling facility, whether it's a beverage brand. I love to create tangible things, right? That serve a purpose. And in this case, it's the best of both worlds. I got to take, my love of manufacturing and development there, coupling it with, brand development and marketing, and, create a very unique drink. And, I think it's only crazy if you think it's crazy. I'm sure from the outside in, it looks a little nutty, but, if you look back in the history of consumer product goods, like, we wouldn't have these things if people weren't doing crazy things. That Mark Anthony Brewing, they didn't have the wherewithal to take, some bad batches of sugar brew and throw some flavoring in there. We wouldn't have White Claw. We wouldn't have hard seltzers, if the beer guys in the 70s hadn't thought about, how do we take the calories out of these things, we wouldn't have light beer. There's, Red Bull, like, hey, how do we take Joe Cola, but, make it a little bit more palatable? Like, let's create Red Bull, create the energy drink market. Like, you don't have those pioneers. We don't have a lot of the things that we have. And I don't say that, in reference to myself being a pioneer. It's just, things that seem crazy up front, when you look down the road 3, 4, 5 years and you look back, you go, it really wasn't that crazy. Right.
Yeah.
And obviously there's stuff that works, there's stuff that doesn't. We firmly believe that, there was a need for this. We firmly believe that there's a market for a premium energy drink offering, people that want their caffeine this way, but just, in a better manner. So, we'll see. Time will tell.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I just think about who would have thought that we'd get in strangers' cars on purpose and pay them to drive us places.
And it
You
wasn't
know,
a big
and
yellow,
it
a big
wasn't a
yellow car.
cab. Yeah, it was their own vehicle, and we asked them to come get us, and we've never met them in our lives.
Well, Airbnb.
Right,
Hey, I'm going to take my house and rent it to strangers
right,
to come
right.
here and stay for the weekend because I'm going to be traveling. A lot of
Yeah,
these things.
it's there's a slight there's that very fine line of crazy and brilliant, right? It's like what side does it fall on? And I tend to believe the craziness leans into the brilliance, right? So you're crazy to think it, well, we're crazier to create it and make it massive, and then it becomes normal.
Well, and I
And
think out in the world, you have a lot of people that think up great ideas. Just in everyday life. You always are around that person like, oh, it'd be a good idea. I did this and this and this, right? And I think the difference is, having a great idea and then executing that great idea, right? There's a massive gap in the middle there, right?
yeah,
Because we all have things that as we go about our regular everyday life that you're like, oh, what would be cool is if somebody developed this or somebody made this, and they think it, but they don't really know how do I actually go execute and make that myself, right? I see a niche, I see a need, you know, why doesn't everybody go out and do it? And at the end
right,
of the day, the simple answer is just, it's hard work. And
right,
I mean, it really is. I've bootstrapped myself, several companies and several businesses, and it's never easy. It's you hopefully build it to one day where it is, right? The set and forget. You got people that do this and this, and you're the big picture guy up here, but it takes time to get there, and it
right.
takes successes, it takes failures. You obviously, I know everybody says that you learn more with your failures than your successes, and it's true, but it doesn't make them fun, right?
Yeah,
It does not make it something that I would choose to go through a second time if I had the choice.
yeah. Agreed. Failure sucks. Just the question is, do you learn from it? And you get
That's
better because of it.
right.
So tell me, what's the strategy to build out FAMUS, right? So you mentioned already you got some strategic partnerships that we're kind of working on in the beverage space, and certain relationships I'm sure you've had with previous experiences of your own and some of the partners in the business. High level, what's the strategy to build it out and
So
build this niche that we're in?
So, kind of the traditional model has always been, or at least recently, is, you go find go find the biggest star that you can, hitch your wagon to them and, let them take you into the stratosphere. And obviously, that's worked. Prime has done a very good job with that with Prime Energy and the Pauls. And, Zoa's done a great job with, Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, and what they've been able to do. And so, our strategy was just a little bit different, right? I didn't go out and raise $20 million, to build these big national splashy marketing campaigns like that. That wasn't the point of this, right? We wanted to build an authentic beverage brand, right? We knew what we wanted to be. We knew what we wanted to create. We knew it wouldn't be for everybody, and that was okay. I think when you get into those big companies, they have to be a lot of things to a lot of people. We don't. We never set out to do that. We feel like if you come authentically to our brand, to FAMUS, and you try it and you realize how good it is and how good for you, or how much better for you it is than alternatives, you're going to be a customer. Like, you're going to connect with the brand because we're authentic. Because I can tell you, everybody involved in FAMUS drinks FAMUS. Right? It's not just a gimmick. I didn't just throw this hat on and I'm going to go drink, my Red Bull. And, when I get in the car, we eat, breathe, and sleep this. And, I think out in the marketplace, consumers, they're just getting tired of constantly being pitched to, constantly being sold to. Every time they open up Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, like, it's just ad after ad after ad. And it's just push, 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 push. We wanted to create a pull to this brand in a natural and organic way, right? And so we started it with direct to consumer, right? Online, through social, through some, ad buys, just kind of slowly bringing people to the understanding that this even exists, right? People can't look for famous or for an ultra premium energy drink if they don't know the space exists, right?
Right.
So that's been really the first 5 6 months of this process, is just slowly building that pull to the brand, but in an organic fashion. So that's what we've been doing. And now that we've got, Amazon Prime going and our own e-commerce going, we're starting to broach the retail aspect, right? The touch points. But again, the traditional model is you go get the biggest distributor that you can, you put it in all the convenience stores and gas stations around the US, then you get into grocery and then big box and this and this and this. And we just really haven't taken that approach. Famous has a home in a lot of different places, but Famous doesn't always make sense in every single convenience store, right? In every single location. And that's not a knock on the convenience stores at all. They do a great job with what they do. But, how many times have you gone into 7-Eleven or Circle K going, okay, I need to go find a really expensive ultra premium energy drink? That
Yeah.
7-Eleven's not necessarily where you first think of, places to go get that. Now, are there 7-Elevens in certain cities and areas and suburbs where it absolutely would make sense to have it there? 100%.
Sure.
So for us, it's we've stayed away from the big distributor model just because you lose a little bit of control, right? And we want to be selective on where Famous is sold, where it's carried, where it's marketed. And we know that the minute you go in with one of those big distributors, their goal and job is to put it everywhere. That's how they make their money. They make their money by turning product, and they turn product by putting it in thousands of locations, selling through, and then re-upping. And so we've taken kind of a more of a conservative approach, and we're talking with individual hospitality groups, individual restaurant bar, franchises and chains. We've had a huge, call it here, just huge opportunity within, training facilities. So, lots of healthcare or health spas and gyms and training facilities, country clubs, golf courses, things that maybe the other guys aren't necessarily paying a ton of attention to, but
Hmm.
people are still in there, and they're working out, they're playing golf, they're taking their families, and you know they they have a need to garner some caffeine, whether it's a post-workout drink, pre-workout drink, whether it's hey, I'm on the ninth hole, I just need something to get me through the last nine. There's needs everywhere, but our focus has been on more of the non-traditional paths that are a little bit different than kind of what everybody else does, and kind of the lengths that they go to. And so that's been an interesting journey in and of itself, right? Because we've had some conversations with distributors and have just decided, not to go with them, and for a lot of different reasons. But it's a very interesting model, doing it the way we're doing it, which is more
Yeah.
of having a ground team, in a city that can like be the face of Famous and go service these accounts one on one. If you're a club and you've brought Famous in and you've got it on your tables, for bottle service, and you got it behind the bar, and you got a fridge and you're selling it by the bottle as a mocktail, and you have a problem, do you want them picking up the phone trying to call the distributor to see, how quickly they can respond and get their problem resolved? Or do you want them to be able to have the cell phone of a rep that comes in there every week and they know personally that they can pick up a phone or shoot a text to and get, their problem resolved, quickly? And, we didn't want to build the world's first ultra premium energy drink, but not give ultra premium service to the retailers that are going to house it. And ultimately, that's the kind of decision that we've made and gone down to. That doesn't mean that the right opportunities with spokespersons or potential strategic partners aren't going to come up. That makes sense, and by all means, if they make sense for us, then we'll jump into them full throttle. But we're just really taking our time with it. We didn't build this massive company with 200 employees that, if we're not in 10,000 retail accounts, I can't pay the payroll, right? That's
Yeah.
just not what we did. And so because we've taken this alternative route, so to speak, it's giving us a little bit of a longer runway, kind of a slow burn, so to speak, to really build a good pull to this brand authentically. And I think in the long run, that's going to benefit us more than doing a lot of splashy ads.
I love it. I love it. Well, I'm excited about FAMUS. I know across all of our sales offices that, I've been in the industry for almost 20 years. And, I had someone even last night at our little team night who said something about, hey, I didn't know you're involved with FAMUS. And, I was like, yeah, I know, everybody knows Michael, right? He's the guy who kind of my partner for a long time in business. Yeah. He kind of hired me and taught me things. And I said, yeah, he kind of told me about the mission. He told me about the quality of the drink itself and what FAMUS is looking to do. And it's gotten me excited. So that's why I'm involved. But yeah, we have a lot of plans to do our best to have thousands of sales reps, enjoying the drink first. And then we'll see, how we can possibly.
Isn't it so much easier to sell things if you enjoy them yourself? That always hit me when, going back to my sales days. It's like if I thought something was cool or if I thought something was good, man, it was just so much easier to tell somebody else about it and sell the product to them as well. And I will tell you, all of our reps that are out there right now, man, they love this product.
Yeah.
And I think your viewers, they will too. Once they give it a try.
Yeah, I agree. Well, what I'm going to do is as we kind of put this whole video together for the channel, we'll put a little QR code, things like that to get the orders out there and get people that are watching the channel to get them a taste and get them using the product and trying it out and sharing it with friends and family. But, Jeremy, I know we've been on for a little bit now. I just want to say I appreciate you very much jumping on. I know you're traveling this week to California. A lot of big meetings, and obviously my buddy Sebastian, it seems like you're going to be on his channel and his podcast. So I'm excited to get FAMUS in a lot of places. But yeah, my eyes are always perking up when I'm out and about, and I'm like, another spot FAMUS could be. Another spot FAMUS could be.
Funny how aware you become of the marketplace when you start getting yourself vested in this stuff. It's a lot of fun.
Yep, absolutely. Well, thank you again, Jeremy. You got an incredible background. Looking forward to our partnership in this venture. And obviously, we've been talking a lot about how I can support the cause. Any final words? Anything else you'd like to say to our viewers?
No, we're so appreciative to have you on board, Ken, and excited about what the next year is going to look like. We're nowhere near. We just scratched the surface, man. We're really going to do some amazing things. We're going to start having some live events that we're going to be advertising and letting people know about. We're going to be doing some giveaway contest online. We've got some really cool things in the pipeline. And so, to all of your viewers, just stay tuned. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Awesome. All right. Thanks so much, Jeremy. And for everyone, again, please subscribe. If you haven't already, pass it along to friends and family. Looking forward to build our channel to a lot more viewers. But have an amazing day, and we will talk to you soon. See you guys.